Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday Eve to you. I'm Rob Evans. Welcome to a Daybreak Plus. We're breaking down all the news you may have missed overnight and digging deep into what matters to you. And we're starting with what matters to a lot of sports fans, March Madness. But, well, the madness didn't last very long for the UT men's team. The Longhorns lost in the play-in game last night against Xavier. Now, UT started off hot, had an 8-point lead at half, but a 13-3 run by the Musketeers early in the second half was just too much. The final score, 86-80, so the season for the UT men at least is over. Trey Johnson likely finishing out his time in burnt orange, scoring a team-high 23 points. Now, again, that's for the men. As for the women, there's still a chance for the women to bring home a national championship. The basketball team is waiting to play their first round game in front of a friendly Moody Center crowd. They took the number 1 seed in the Birmingham regional side of the bracket, so their opening round match will be here in Austin on Saturday. And ahead of their first round appearance, 3 Longhorn women earned All-American honors this year. Madison Booker, no surprise, first team All-American, second season in a row she has earned All-American honors. Rory Harmon, Taylor Jones, both named honorable mention All-Americans. The Texas women, will play the winner of High Point and William and Mary Saturday night. And if you're filling out the NCAA bracket this year, you have just a few hours left to turn in the bracket. Most men's brackets are due at noon today. The women are due tomorrow. And if you want some last-minute help, here's KVUE Sports Director Jeff Jones.
It's that special 3-day stretch where every sports fan has the same homework assignment. Fill out one of these, an NCAA March Madness bracket, and while I'm rooting for everyone to do their best with their bracket, I feel a duty to you to take you behind the scenes with me while I fill out mine with some inside tips from some well-connected friends. Come on, let's go. Here it is, the perfect room to make my perfect bracket. Now I just need some perfect music. We've been talking about it. Now it is time to put pen to paper on your bracket, and getting one of these mostly right will have you walking with your head held high for weeks. But getting one mostly wrong, well, I wouldn't know anything about that. A total of 5 in-state teams made the tournament field this year. I reached out to the sports journalists who cover each and every one of those teams to ask how far we should have them advancing in our brackets, starting with the top-seeded in-state team, Houston.
What you need to know about U of H is basically what you should know about them from previous years. This team is going to defend, it's going to defend, and it's going to defend.
Whoa, stop being so defensive. The number 2 defense in the nation gets a chance to defend the Lone Star State. UH to San Antonio for the Final Four. On the other side of the bracket, Texas Tech had one of the most impressive road wins this season.
Texas Tech holds on for the miracle.
Now, the Red Raiders hope to get a few wins in the training room.
If they're healthy, they can beat anyone in the country. If they're not, they may come home early.
Does Tech make it home before the streetlights come on? Nope. The Red Raiders dance on. How late? Elite 8. Up to College Station, where the 12th man is the 13th overall seed. The Aggies play the Yale Bulldogs, and just like you have to fight fire with fire, if you're gonna beat the dogs, you better bring the dogs.
I think it's just how we're raised and who we are. We're all dogs. Literally.
The Aggies have bark, bite, and they blast the boards. They're the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country, thanks to what they call predictable shots.
They really value taking shots in the rhythm of their offense to make it, quote unquote, predictable as to when to crash the boards.
A&M gets a close win over Yale, but falls to Michigan. Baylor has some star power in guard VJ Edgecombe, a predicted top 5 NBA draft pick.
When VJ Edgecombe's on the floor, everything's different.
Who will run into the predicted number 1 NBA pick in the second round.
I like to say I have the Bears going to the second round and taking on Duke. And then we'll have the VJ Edgecombe versus Cooper Flagg matchup, which I think a lot of people would draw eyes to.
We see the NBA's future in Baylor's final game. Bears bounced in round 2. Last but not least, the Longhorns. Texas is happy because it's healthy.
We got Kendall Weaver back.
I think Texas beats Xavier and Dayton, then shocks Illinois. That would lead to a rematch from one of UT's most impressive wins of the year. Why not? Rodney Terry and the guys are laughing all the way to the Sweet 16. That's how I see this year's bracket shaking down. All 5 in-state teams win at least one tournament game, with one team, Houston, advancing to the Final Four. You think your bracket's better than mine? Prove it. Reach out to me on social media at Jeff Jones Sports.
Well, Jeff obviously shot that before 11 o'clock last night when Texas lost to Xavier, but hey, you know, there's still Houston going on. Houston's still advancing, and they are looking pretty good as a lot of people's overall winner. All right, for now, it is a 7:06. Let's take a look at a traffic and weather. Grace, how are things looking up?
Well, things are looking pretty good for this morning, Rob, but it may be a little bit chilly for some. A beautiful sunrise, though, coming up over Austin. So if you are headed out and about, I got to say, grab that jacket and maybe just keep it around. There are going to be a couple more chillier mornings as we head towards the end of March here. I can't really rule it out just yet. So 44 at Camp Mabry over there, and then 47 over at the airport. We're down as much as 40 degrees in some places for this morning. However, across the map right now, we are looking down at about 20, 25, nearing 30 degrees less than where we were for 7 a.m. on our Wednesday. So a little bit cooler out there. Actual temperatures in the 30s for the hill country, the mid to lower 40s for areas along I-35 as well as over towards the east there. Today's forecast looking really, really nice. Those northerly winds are going to reinforce a little bit of that cooler air out there. So it won't be as hot as the past 2 days. We're looking at about 70 for Austin, and then out towards the hill country, some of our areas could hang on to the 60s for our high temperatures. Okay, wind speeds being much nicer to us today, not as blustery as yesterday, and we also have a little bit more humidity in the atmosphere, so it looks like our fire outlook today gets a little bit lower, down to the moderate category for most of us, a couple of us still in the high category. We need to watch out for the next couple of days, as on Friday our wind speeds and on Saturday our wind speeds are expected to pick up a bit, and we won't have enough rainfall to combat our fire weather risks out there, even though we are going to get a little bit of rainfall coming in Sunday evening. Looks like a cold front will kind of stall out across our area. Here's a look at 7 p.m. As you make your way over towards the Houston area, these kind of like dots here, those darker greens, could turn into maybe a couple of thunderstorms out there, but most of us who will see the thunderstorms or the possibility of a thunderstorm will be out towards our very far east. This will continue until Monday morning around 8 a.m. and then we'll start to clear out for the first half of next week. So our 7-day rainfall totals are not looking too strong out there. You know, east and south of Austin, maybe up to a quarter to even a half an inch of rainfall, which certainly would be good, but just not enough for our area. Okay, allergy count for today. Maple and alder, medium category today. They were in the high, so that's good. They're starting to dwindle down just a little bit. We'll still have to watch that as we head into a breezier day tomorrow. Up to 80 degrees for our Friday. A little bit cool in the morning still, and then we will continue to watch for those warmer temperatures this weekend. And of course, we'll be watching that rainfall for you. Okay, let's get a look over at traffic this morning. Our map is starting to light up a little bit more. Buda and Manor are slower spots on the map if you're coming in and or out of those regions this morning. Let's zoom on into our current crashes here. We do have one that's going to be a lane block due to a shoulder blockage. That's I-35 southbound, exit 238B at 53rd Street and a half there. So interesting spot, but causing some slowdowns and some stop and go conditions. We also do have a stalled vehicle in between I always get my I's and my ones mixed up. 183 southbound and then Lamar Boulevard there. So could be causing some issues at that intersection. And then we also have a crash Northgate Boulevard at Runberg Lane at the current moment. I believe we have one other thing going on. Oh yes, we have another crash on the north side. We did have one crash down here over towards, well, just kind of north of Walnut Creek there. But now we have another crash on the other side that's going to be I-35 northbound, exit 247 at Wells Branch Parkway. Back to you, Rob.
Grace, thank you very much. And Austin's airport, one of the first in the country to get new runway safety technology from the FAA. So if you're flying out today, the new runway incursion device is operational. What's that mean? Well, the technology helps air traffic controllers know whether a runway is being used. This is part of a nationwide effort launched after concerns about a whole bunch of close calls, especially at the Austin airport recently, right? The FAA plans to install devices at nearly 70 other airports by the end of next year. And staying at the airport, Austin city leaders are considering paying out-of-state artists millions of dollars to decorate an expansion to the airport. Now, the proposal is upsetting some local artists who say, wait, you should spend that money here because there's a lot of creative people here. Here's KVUE's Darenisha Heron.
Austin's airport has art on nearly every corner, and more is on the way. Next Thursday, Austin City Council is expected to vote on art contracts for the airport's expansion.
I'm concerned.
Mayor Pro Tem Vanessa Fuentes will be one of those votes. Right now, the 3 contracts, which add up to $10.6 million, could go to all out-of-state artists chosen by a panel, although some local artists applied as well.
You would think that maybe part of that should be allocated towards marketing, like a campaign to let local artists know.
Jake Breyer co-founded Austin Art Garage, which only sells local art.
I didn't see it, and I own an art gallery.
According to an AUS spokesperson, there are 2 art programs here at the airport. One is specifically geared to local artists. The other, Arts in Public Places, is not. These projects are through that program. And right now, 6 of that program's 18 permanent artworks are created by non-local artists.
So in my conversations with airport officials, this is just the first phase. And the way that they were laying it out, it was going to be focused on national for the first phase, second phase state artists, and then a third phase local artists. But I believe our local artists should be incorporated to every phase of the expansion program.
According to the Economic Development Department spokesperson, it's common for the AIPP program to engage a mix of artists. In a statement they wrote, while some projects may require broader outreach to meet specialized needs, there is always a strong commitment to prioritizing Austin and Texas-based artists whenever possible.
I think that the artists in Austin could really use it. Not to mention, those people are part of a group of people that made Austin weird.
In Austin, Darenisha Heron, KVUE News.
And we got to keep Austin weird, right? All right, Darenisha, thank you much. Well, the measles outbreak in West Texas continues to spread, now infecting 279 people. That's the latest number right there. And while the outbreak has stayed away from Central Texas, it's still raising important questions about prevention and about treatment. And recently, vitamin A has been floated as a treatment for measles. But is that true? Stephen Goen is here to verify.
Just last week, newly appointed U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made a television appearance where he claimed in part that doctors have treated measles patients with cod liver oil, which contains high amounts of vitamin A. So, is vitamin A used in measles treatment? Let's verify. Our sources are the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control, Memorial Hermann, and the Baylor College of Medicine. First, according to the World Health Organization, complications are common in malnourished children, especially for those low in vitamin A. So the WHO does recommend vitamin A supplementation primarily to help prevent those complications. According to the CDC, vitamin A may be administered to infants and children with measles under the supervision of a healthcare provider. But CDC officials stress it's no substitute for vaccination. They also warn that overuse of vitamin A can be toxic. Dr. Linda Yancey is an infectious disease specialist with Memorial Hermann.
Vitamin A is given to children with vitamin deficiencies in resource-poor settings to somewhat speed recovery from measles. It does not treat measles. It does not prevent measles.
Dr. Jill Weatherhead is an associate professor at the Baylor College of Medicine. She says this about vitamin A.
It's helping your immune response react to the measles virus, but it is not an antiviral medication. It also helps maintain the mucosal barrier of your lungs and of your intestines, which is damaged because of measles infection.
So the claim vitamin A is used in measles treatment needs context. While it can be effective as part of an overall medical care plan, it does not directly fight the measles virus, nor does it prevent infection or do the job of a vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Stephen Goen.
And this morning, concerns are growing over the impact the Trump administration's tariffs could have on prices. This comes as the central bank announced its decision to hold interest rates steady. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio is in Washington with how this could impact your wallet.
This morning, the impact of President Trump's trade war is delaying the Federal Reserve's ability to bring down inflation.
We have tariffs coming in. We don't know how big, what speed. There's so many things we don't know, but we kind of know there are going to be tariffs, and they tend to bring growth down. I do think with the arrival of the tariff inflation, further progress may be delayed.
The Federal Reserve is holding interest rates steady at around 4.5%, unchanged from its last rate cut in December. That means the cost to borrow money for things like auto loans and mortgages won't change.
Given where we are, we think our policy's in a good place to react to what comes, and we think that the right thing to do is to wait here for greater clarity about what the economy is doing.
The rate decision coming amid President Trump's announcement on tariffs that have sent the stock market into turmoil and triggered concerns about a possible recession. The president promising these tariffs will be good for Americans and the economy in the long term, and says more are coming.
On April 2nd, I call it the liberation of America. We've been the fat, dumb, foolish country that allowed everybody to rip us off.
When asked if the U.S. would see a recession in 2025, Trump projected confidence, saying the U.S. has the strongest economy in the world. But some are less confident.
The tariffs and the changing political atmosphere has just made it extremely disruptive, at a time when we're stressed anyway.
When financial advisors tell you, don't worry about it, just hang on. Well, when you're 70 years old, how long do you have to wait?
President Trump is pushing to cut rates, posting on social media that the Fed would be better off cutting rates as U.S. tariffs start to transition their way into the economy. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Well, South by Southwest has wrapped up, and we're finally getting a chance to breathe and kind of really take in some of the things that came to Austin, including the premiere of a documentary that some claim could help reveal the biggest story in the history of mankind. That's what people are actually saying right now. Here's Andrew Dimbert.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
An explosive documentary is setting out to prove aliens are real and the government is covering it up. The new film, The Age of Disclosure, claims to reveal an 80-year cover-up of the existence of non-human intelligent life and a secret war amongst major nations to reverse engineer technology of non-human origin.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
It features more than 30 U.S. officials speaking out on the alleged existence of aliens and UFOs, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
The film just premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival.
Kind of spread like wildfire amongst those who are in the inner circle on this within our government, and they started to realize this is a unique opportunity to bring the truth out.
I think it gave them an opportunity to tell their side of the story, and they had absolutely nothing to gain but public humiliation. I mean, myself, I've lost contributors.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
Reaction has been mixed. One person posting, spreading the word about this topic is the most important story in the history of humanity, but another saying not a single scrap of verifiable evidence has ever been shown. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, look, we know that the talk of aliens is nothing new. It's been going on since I can remember. But there's so much more recently with the military. Remember releasing the video of what nobody can explain. Jet pilots saying, "What is that?" You can't explain it, right? So Congress is finally saying enough is enough. Check out this on congress.gov, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2025, Section 2-4. Here's the quote. Legislation is necessary because credible evidence and testimony indicates that federal government unidentified anomalous phenomenon records exist. Right there, records exist that have not been declassified or subject to mandatory declassification review. So they're saying right there, the proof is there. So we asked you, what do y'all think about it? And our Daybreak Plus director, Mars, caught a couple of responses on camera. Take a listen.
Do you believe in aliens?
I do. To echo what my partner said, I think the place that we live in is much too big for this to be it.
Yes? Question mark. I think the world is too big for us to be the only ones here. There's no way we're the only things in the entire galaxy, right? That being said, I don't know what they look like or care, I guess. It doesn't matter. I think if they exist, I think they're just as dumb as we are.
So, aliens. I think they're real. I think that, like, I believe in, like, microorganisms, like, in the vast outer space. Like, space is so big. So there's got to be at least something else out there, but I don't necessarily believe in aliens like landing here on Earth and like humans interacting with them.
And we're not done. Mars was on a mission. She took a poll of the KVUE employees. She asked 25 staff members, do you believe in the existence of aliens? And the results, I was actually shocked by this. 24 people said yes. One person said no. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that one person was Jordan. He said, gotta see it to believe it. All right. For the employees who did say yes, the follow-up, Mars asked them a follow-up. Do you believe aliens have already arrived on Earth? This question was more mixed. 13 said yes. 11 said no. And in case you're curious, it wasn't just a sleep-deprived people, because she did talk to the people, not just the morning show, but also the evening shift people who they actually do get a lot of sleep. But what do you think? And by the way, our digital manager did want us to make sure that everyone knows there's been no proof, no evidence of aliens. So he did want me to stress that. We're not trying to find Bigfoot here. We're just letting you know what the talk is after South by Southwest. All right, we're leaving you this morning with something else to talk about, because that's enough to talk about there. But here's even more. Imagine winning the lottery. I mean, it's just a dream, right? Like you always say, oh, what would I do? And it's not just a little one, it's a big one. $83 million. Wow, that's so cool. It happened to a Texas woman, right? But the lottery said, no, we're not paying you. What? Well, she's now fighting to secure her prize after she won last month. That's her attorney there, Randy Howery. She represents the winner, who wants to remain anonymous. He says she's been playing the lottery through an app called Jackpocket. It lets people buy tickets virtually. It was bought from the Winner's Corner in North Austin, but her ticket is now under investigation by the Texas Rangers. The State Lottery Commission also moved toward banning couriers, and on February 27th, the state Senate approved a bill to do the same thing. Now, the lawyer insists his client is the rightful winner and says, hey, pay my client. Take a listen.
What my client did was play by all the rules that were in place at the time. Now, they've been changed, and now we're waiting to see, anxiously waiting to see whether the lottery is going to prove my client is the winner.
Now, Howery says they're going to give the Lottery Commission time to resolve it, but they are ready to take legal action if necessary. Imagine that, though, $80-some million, and they say, nah, not yet, or maybe not at all. Well, that, my friends, is it for Daybreak Plus. Let us know what you want to talk about. I still want to continue this alien conversation. I would love to. Just text us with your thoughts. Text us the video if you want to, whatever you want. 512-459-9442. That's the number right there. 512-459-9442. You have to text it. Unfortunately, calling it doesn't work. You can also message me on social medias at Rob Evans TV on Instagram or Facebook or X. That's at Rob Evans TV. And stick around, because Daybreak continues right here on KVUE Plus. Goodbye, everybody.